influence of UFOs is not limited to the Jewish Bible, that it can be traced into the Christian faith as well. Thousands of years after the Exodus, the New Testament records the transfiguration of Jesus.
And he was transfigured before them. His garments became glistening, intensely white, as no fuller on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah and Moses, and they were talking to Jesus.
It was surprising to see Moses and Elijah on the mountain with Jesus, because Moses had been dead for hundreds of years, and Elijah, although he never died on earth, was taken off into the sky in a chariot of fire and was never seen again until now.
Were Elijah's chariots of fire and the glowing cloud that met Moses on Mount Sinai one and the same? And did that same cloud or UFO transport Elijah and Moses to Jesus' transfiguration?
We have a pattern that's very much part of the biblical pattern. That is, some strange object shows up in the sky and a voice comes from it. You get this during the Exodus with a pillar of cloud and a voice coming to Moses. You get it in the Transfiguration story. So whenever you then look at the biblical prophets who are saying strange things, the issue is the extraterrestrial reality informing their minds to say the things they're saying.
Coming up, the close encounter of an ancient prophet. More than half a millennium before the birth of Christ, a group of Jewish exiles was held captive along the banks of the Chebar River. Among them, a righteous Israelite named Ezekiel. He became a prophet, predicting the fall of Jerusalem. Later, he also preached the message of hope and salvation. But first, Ezekiel was enraptured by something in the sky.
As I looked, behold, a stormy wind came out of the north, and a great cloud with brightness round it, and fire flashing forth continually. And in the midst of the fire, as it were gleaming bronze.
Ezekiel believed this event was an encounter with God. But UFO researchers wonder if it might have been something else. More than any other passage in the Bible, Ezekiel's detailed account of this sighting is continually studied and analyzed by ufologists, who argue that it is a biblical alien encounter.
I saw a wheel upon the earth. As for the appearance of the wheels and their construction, their appearance was like the gleaming of a chrysolite.
Ezekiel is describing a flying, spinning, glowing, metallic object that ascends and lands in front of him. In the modern age, what we see are flying, glowing, spinning metallic objects that ascend and descend just like the objects that are described in the Bible. It's not an illogical conclusion to assume that these craft that we see today may be the exact same craft that they're describing in the Bible in ancient times.
Their construction being, as it were, a wheel within a wheel. When they went into any of their four directions, without turning as they went.
You can tell he was struggling with the description. Now, that's also true of UFO experiences that people have. They're having difficulty describing what they're seeing, and it matches this description that we see in the Bible.
wheels had rims, and they had spokes. And their rims were full of eyes roundabout.
What I believe he's talking about is devices, mechanical devices. And in the time that he was discussing this, there was nothing mechanical. The wheel was about the most sophisticated device that they had.
When the wheels of Ezekiel hovered above him, he may have thought he was seeing a supernatural reality, but what if it was simply a high-tech reality? How do you tell the difference between the supernatural and the super-technological? The more highly technical a reality becomes, the more supernatural it seems.
And from the midst of it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. Wherever their spirit would go, they went, and the wheels rose along with them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels.
It describes an object that comes from the mountainside and actually disgorges some type of intelligent beings from its interior.
As for the likeness of their faces, each had the face of a man in front. The 4 had the face of a lion on the right side. The 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. And the 4 had the face of an eagle at the back.
In his day and time, quite literally, there's nothing unnatural in the sky. There are no planes, there are no helicopters, there aren't kites, there aren't even any balloons. And in his day and age, nothing moved unless it was alive or unless something living was moving it. So he used the analogy of living creatures.
Over the heads of the living creatures, there was the likeness of a firmament, shining like crystal. And when they went, I heard the sound of their wings, like the sound of many waters, like the thunder of the Almighty.
He sees a firmament, a very large object. So many of the engineers that have looked at this verse believe that what he's talking about is actually landing gear. He describes lights running up and down them. He describes rings of flashing lights around them. And he speaks of a being coming out of the craft, coming out of the firmament above him and speaking to him.
If these visitors were extraterrestrial in nature, why did they appear to Ezekiel?
Did this initial encounter with Ezekiel lead to some form of mind control, which led him to write this very long book of prophecy about the future of Israel and about the military and political consequences of what was going to happen in the future? I don't know about this, but this is certainly one of the key concepts that theologians would have to explore once the UFO reality were admitted to be real.
Coming up, angels, messengers from God, or visitors from another planet? Angels. God's divine messengers. Their ethereal images appear in art and architecture across the millennia and around the globe. Mentioned hundreds of times in the Bible, angels were present at some of the most significant events in ancient history.